I think we have come to the end of this series that I began that I called Beginner Day Trading. And so we have from beginning introduction here to number 35, and then today is going to be the final one. I want to do a bit of a wrap up, and I want to use this document here, this web page, to go over. But I also want to do like a bit of a recap. So let's start first with over the series, we introduced some stock screeners, and it's good to get decent at it, get good at it. It helps you pick stocks, and you can find some decent ones that are free. And then as you get more serious, you could look for ones that where you pay a subscription. So we first began with FinViz, and we look at using the relative volume, current volume, and price because we're doing penny stocks. And one of the things I did like about it is that you can hover over these stocks and get a very quick chart. That was what was nice about this one. I thought it was a bit limited in the selections here, but there were other tabs that we didn't go into, like for instance here, we didn't even go into these. So I think it would behoove you to explore the different tabs, and you might be able to get more out of this than the introduction that I did with it. From FinViz, we moved on to Webull and their stock screener. And this one, I found uh, it left a lot to be desired. But now that we know more and we've come to the end of the series, for example, three white soldiers, you already, even though we didn't cover it, you should know that is a candlestick pattern, bullish engulfing, and the oversold RSI. But I didn't see too many other technical, like there's a market cap. I didn't know where volume is. So you may want to explore this further. Then we moved on to Yahoo Finance, and it has screeners, and we actually had created one for the example videos, and I used some of these parameters, and then you can add more right here, add another filter as I went over before. It runs quickly. It hovering over the stock symbols does not give you the chart. You actually have to click on the stock symbol. And there's some things that Yahoo allows you to get for free, and then if you start clicking on other parts of the chart or whatever that you want to do, then you have to start paying for it. And then we ended using TradingView's stock screener, and that one was pretty cool. And you can have different filters. And usually once you select filters to use, the next time you open this up, it moves the ones that you're using to the top. You can also paper trade with Webull, with here paper trading, and you can paper trade with TradingView. So that's a very quick recap of the stock screeners that we introduced, and I urge you to explore each of those in turn and use other input parameters that I didn't go over. So how to trade penny stocks using trading charts. And it introduces the idea that there's two types of analysis, fundamental and technical, and I went over those as an introduction in some of the videos. And we have focused mainly on doing technical analysis, or TA. And they again reiterate or warn you, which is what I did as well, technical analysis does not always work when stock has low trading volume. The more activity a stock has, the more you can trust the pattern. Then it talked about upside trend or upward trend. We did a video on that. Downward trend, we did a video on that. Sideways, where it's not really trending anywhere. I did not cover moving averages, so that's a homework for you. I did cover support levels at different places and trend lines, as well as resistance levels. I talked about breaking. And then here's where I'd like to focus a little bit of our attention, bottoming out pattern. So think, maybe I can give you an example. Okay, this is where our FinViz stock screener is actually going to come in handy. So this type of pattern shows up after a long, steady slide in share price. So let's look for a long, steady slide in share price. Here is a steady slide in share price. There's another one. And there's a good one right there. That's a good example. So you get the idea, long, steady slide in share price. Now, let's continue. The trend goes down from downward over months to sideways, often for a couple of weeks. Now, when this happens at the same time as an increase in trading volume, it might mean that the shares could be entering a long, steady recovery in price. Often the shares which display a bottoming out pattern will be some of the best long-term holds. So this is not day trading. Now, in order to show you some of these, like this one for instance, I purposely picked relative volume to be under 1. And if you've watched my videos, you know what relative volume is. Let's change that and do over 1.5. Let's see what the graphs look like now. What stocks did it pick? So here's one, long, steady slide, and then a sideways movement, but it's starting to go up because volume went up as well. So there's another one. So you notice how they changed? There's one. You see, they all now, except for that one, are reflecting these are different stocks reflecting different charts. Okay. So that is the bottoming out pattern, and look for this. And this again is why I talked about the stock screeners. Stock screeners will help you pick this. Price dips. So this one is different. This is not a long, steady slide in price. So let's read this first. Price dips. The way some traders play price dips is to be in the right place at the right time. So they set up buy orders that is well below the recent or current price. So now let's go over to TradingView, and this happens to be a penny stock that I'm familiar with, NSAV. And each of these lines over here delineate the start of a trading day. So this, you can tell this is a much longer view. It's actually 1 year, as denoted down here. All right. So I marked off long-term support and resistance levels, and then I zoom in and I go from day intervals to say 1 minute. And let me zoom back out again. There's all my recent days. I have more trend lines marked off. And so if I wanted to do, again, this is going to be a bit of a hold. This is not possibly day trading, although it could be. It could be. For example, if somebody does stop loss hunting, which we talked about, where they want to trigger people's stop losses, you might, if you set yours a buy order, you might get lucky and buy it during that trigger. But in any case, you set up a buy order that's lower than the current or recent or average price. and you might get lucky and it might fulfill. So that is price dip. Now, topping out pattern. This is much like the bottoming out pattern, but in reverse. Watch for shares that have climbed for a long time and now appear to be leveling off or trading sideways. If this appears to happen close to a decline in trading volume, traders are going to be selling and prices will begin to tumble. And the idea, again, is to buy at the bottom if you can find it. Now, what I would add here, though, is why are they selling? So I wouldn't just do technical analysis. I would do some fundamental analysis at this point, try to do my due diligence. I'm talking about everything we introduced in this series, and investigate the company, what's behind the stock, to see if this makes sense. We talked about candlestick patterns. We talked about gapping. Now, here's one we didn't really talk about, against the trend. This one is, let's go back to Finviz. And you can see that a lot of these shares, a lot of these stocks seem to have similar charts. They're all going down, right? But let's see when we get lucky here. Let's see. There's okay, like this one here. For the same period as all the ones I've just shown you, this one does not look the same. This one is bucking the trend. That is what this is trying to say, against the trend. So a stock like that one, if I can find it, where'd it go? Where most stocks are doing bad in this period, most penny stocks, and this one's doing pretty good. There's volatility, there's volume. That would be a stock that you may want to look at for trading and or doing some long-term holds. And I think that's about it, except let's finish off here. Ground rules for using technical analysis with penny stocks. Technical analysis are best used with high-quality companies, which have been vetted with fundamental analysis. Technical analysis does not work when the stock has low trading volume. Technical analysis does not often factor in the fundamentals of the company. And so I urge you to read or find this article, and you might be able to get more out of it than I've gone over, because I went over it pretty quick. How to trade penny stocks using trading charts. And so if you made it this far, I want to say thank you for having watched the entire series, and I hope you got something out of it.